Those comments there.
We're trying to admit people.
It'll give us just a minute. We're just trying to make sure everybody is on here.
I don't see any hands up.
There's no hands online at this moment, so we're going to go to public comments in the hall. And if you'd come up and speak into that, go ahead.
You gotta turn it on though.
And if you'll just introduce yourself when you come up, please.
Good evening. Nice to see some of my former colleagues that I served on the board with. I am here tonight, excuse me, as a concerned citizen and alumnus, or how you say it, alumnus of this school. I graduated in 2005. I've known John Broadley for over 20 years. I first met John in the fall of 1997 when I attended the Greenwood School in Putney. John had always been very loyal to his students, to the Greenwood School. Particularly, I became a freshman here in 2001, and John followed me here, which I thought was kind of cool. John always supported me here. I was on an IEP. I was in special education, which I'm not ashamed of. I'm also dyslexic. John always supported me, supported his students, supported this building, supported its faculty and staff, and just was, in my eyes, amazing, because for what he did for me, but also just seeing what he did for the community. I am very ashamed of this board, and Miss Chair, if I can have a few moments, I don't know if there's a time frame. It's not very long, I'm almost done.
So I'm going to tell you, I probably don't need this with my voice, but I'm going to tell you that you drew the long straw this time, and I didn't tell you there's a 2-minute.
So gotcha. Okay, so can
time.
I have a few more moments? Okay. I'm very ashamed of this board for accepting the resignation of Mr. Broadley, and I'm particularly very ashamed of you, Mr. Superintendent. I don't understand. I think we as community members deserve answers. And if I'm out of line, sorry, but not sorry. We deserve answers, and don't give me that, executive session stuff. I served on this board. We deserve answers. What did he do? Was his performance that bad? I highly doubt it. Again, we deserve answers, and I would move that the board accepts the resignation of the superintendent. So thank you for your time.
Next person is Chris.
Thank you. My name is Chris Moore. I have 3 children in this high school, freshman, junior, and senior. I'm standing here to support Principal Broadley for many reasons. He has had children in the school system. He's been vice principal for 12 years here. He was just hired as principal less than 2 years ago. He has historical knowledge of the school. He lives in town. He's a positive energy in the school. You will not find someone to replace him with similar credentials. So whatever deficiencies he may have as a principal, I ask that a more creative solution be proposed to allow him to tweak or fix any problems, to allow him to continue to be a positive force at the high school. We just had, obviously, 2 years of disruption with COVID, and I don't think the students need any more disruption at the leadership level. So I implore the school board, the superintendent, and Principal Broadley to work out something so Mr. Broadley stays. Thank you.
Who's next?
I have a little trouble walking.
Take your time.
I'm going to, because you'll never get me up and lie down. Yes, we will. Kathy Bergman. I'm a member of the community, and I'm reading this for a group of people who are here, and it's addressed to David Clark. According to the Brattleboro Reformer article published on September 9, 2021, you pushed for the district to hire Mr. Haas, even when some of the WNESU board members had reservations. Did you do a background check on Mr. Haas before pushing for him to take this position? Are you aware that he has no confidence vote against him when he was principal in Gardner, Mass. and was removed from that position? Are you aware that there were also questions about him when he was at L School at Fremont, New Hampshire? Given the state of special ed in our district, the issues at the Bells Falls Middle School, and now what is happening in the high school, did any board member stop to think that it might be Mr. Haas who was causing the problems? And now the WNESU board is considering giving him a raise. I was asked to read that.
Birds are clear to Kathy.
Hi, David.
Anyone else like to speak? So I have a letter that was, oh, come on down.
Hi, I'm Kim Keefe, and I'm a resident of Rockingham, and have had a multitude of kids go through this school system. And the light is at the end of the tunnel. My final child here will graduate next year. She is not an easy kid, and I credit John Broadley with the fact that she's even still here. She has not been served well by special education. We have been denied some testing that we've asked for, and John has really pulled her into his fold and helped her to be able to navigate math so that she can get through the high school and hopefully graduate. Without him, I don't even know what will happen to her. I can only hope that we can get all the way to next June, but honestly, rethink that.
Stephanie? You're doing good to recognize everyone.
My name is Stephanie Mitchell. I'm a graduate of this school. I am a past employee of the district, and I had a child go through this school. And we have always been big supporters of Mr. Broadley. I don't believe that there's anything that he could have done that would warrant accepting his resignation. I too am ashamed of the board for accepting it. I am ashamed of this district. I'm ashamed to have been a graduate of this school. I never thought I'd say those words, but that's truly how I feel. I think after all the time and the support that Mr. Broadley has given this community and this school, the sports he's coached, there's not even any words to say how bad this is. And I too would welcome the resignation of the superintendent.
Anyone else in the hall like to speak? Jim?
Jim Comtois, Westminster North. I'm not gonna say anything about Mr. Bradley. His credentials stand for themselves. So what I will say is I have a daughter coming down the hill in the fall, And that easily could change real quick, because if you're gonna run this place like it's a revolving door, and we're gonna go through principles like water.
I'm having trouble hearing you, could you? I'm sorry.
Like I said, if you're gonna run the place like it's a revolving door, and we're gonna go through principles like water, well, I'm not game plan for that, and neither is my daughter. We'll find somewhere else to send her, because this is a bunch of crap.
Anyone else in the hall? Andy, is there anyone online that would like to speak?
I am not seeing any hands.
I'm sorry, I couldn't see you past that, but come on up. Thank you, everyone.
I'm Linda Princeton. I've worked in this building for 36 years, 19 of those with John. As he started in the building, we worked in adjacent areas as special educators. In an open building, you get a very good sense of how your colleagues performed. He performed in a stellar way. As he moved into administration, he became an even stronger supporter of students. He wants students to succeed. And often he works very hard to make that happen. He helps them with academics, he helps them with other questions. It doesn't matter the time of day, early in the morning, late in the evening. He's there for them. He's out on the athletic field with them, always supporting. And he supports staff. I think he has a sense of what people are doing and how they're doing in the building. And when things are going well, gives people the freedom to teach the way they need to teach, and supports them to improve their professional career, which benefits the students. I really hope that he will stay, because I think he is a very strong benefit to this school and this community. I saw the school climate improve over my time here as he moved into administration. Less fights, almost none. And there used to be fights in the hall, and it was scary. With high school students, they're big. And so seeing the positive change in the school climate has been tremendous. And I'm a very strong supporter of Mr. Broadley, and hope that you will reconsider and try to make some kind of a plan that will work to keep him on board. His heart is in this school.
Anyone else in the hall? I'm seeing none. I have a letter that was emailed to me late this afternoon. Diane Ross was unable to be here, and she has asked me to read this, so it's the first time I've read it, so I just tried to scan it for you, so here I am. I am a parent of 2 teens. My son graduated from Bellas Falls Union High School in 2022. My daughter is in her junior year to graduate in 2024. I was shocked and disappointed to learn that Principal John Broadley is not likely to return for school year 2023-24. It is my understanding that he had not intended to leave his position, and I am hopeful that you will work to prevent this unnecessary change. In my personal dealings, I found John Broadley to be professional, respectful, thoughtful, and supportive. He has a long-standing positive relationship with students, parents, staff, and our community. 2 of my experiences with John Broadley included very challenging situations, and John was impartial. He was dedicated to learning all perspectives. He listened patiently without judgment or prejudice, and was available. It was a winning combination, and I felt confident that he was determined to do the right thing for the students involved. I was pleased with the outcome of both matters. As I look at the future of Bellas Falls Union High School, I am glad that my children are not younger due to the concerns for the direction our school district appears to be moving. The reputation of our school district is less than positive, and, sorry, this is very small. And there appears to be a lack of respect for our dedicated educators. It is our responsibility to do your best. It is your responsibility to do your best to improve our school district to more than adequately support school staff and provide a quality program for all students. In my opinion, you must do better. I appreciate you for taking on your challenging roles in these very trying and difficult times. Educators are high demand. You must do everything possible to maintain the quality of our school personnel, especially these individuals who are respected by students, families, and fellow educators. We cannot afford to lose additional high-quality staff. Students are taught to correct their mistakes. You must do the same. Superintendent, I'm going to correct it, it says Chris Haas, Andy Haas, and members of the Bellows Falls Union High School School Board, I urge you to do the right thing. Respectfully, Diane Ross. That is all that I received today. Did you have anybody online
I
yet?
do not have anyone online.
Anyone in the hall? This is Lad. Did I get it right?
Yes. Thank you for letting us speak on behalf of Mr. Broadley. I would like to know why he resigned. Is there anyone that would like to say why Mr. Broadley resigned? Anyone on the board know why he resigned? Does anybody?
I normally don't speak to public comments, but I'll tell you that I received a letter of resignation that I read at the last meeting. I do not have a copy of it with me, but you can look up the last meeting to be able to hear that, the letter that he gave to us.
And because of all the concerns people have in this community and the staff, finding a way to keep this valuable principal. We haven't got anybody in this district that comes from our community, knows our kids like Mr. Broadley. So I would consider asking the board to please think about keeping Mr. Broadley here for us, for all of us. Thank you.
Anyone else? We got all night. Come on down.
I'm Susan Swan, I teach in the math department, I've been here for 33 years. First, I'd like to clarify that Mr. Broadley did not resign. He did not use the words resign. So to be saying that is inaccurate. He simply said that he was not going to pursue, I don't know the language, I don't want to say that, but he did not use the words resign. I would piggyback on some of the things that people in the auditorium have said, and I would ask what kind of supports he had. When we have new teachers that come into the building, they're assigned a mentor. Was he assigned a mentor? We have training as mentees how to work with our new people in the building. I'm a mentor for a teacher this year, and I was a mentor for a teacher last year. Is there a mentor who has that same kind of training to work with our administration? What kinds of feedback was Mr. Broadley given that he needed to improve upon or change or fix? What kinds of things was the board or the superintendent noticing that he was deficient in, that he needed to work to improve? And was he given that information in a clear way and in a timely manner so that he could make an effort to make those improvements? So there is an opportunity to continue to have some continuity for the building and for our students and for our staff and for our district and our community. And I would ask you those questions and to consider and reflect upon those questions and consider working with or finding a way to help Mr. Broadley to meet whatever your expectations are that would allow you to move forward looking for a new principal. Thanks for listening.
Anyone else? Yes.
Sorry for my late arrival, and I'm not sure what everyone else has said. I was busy doing after school and then rushed over here. So I don't know what people have said or anything.
First, can you say your name?
Yes, sorry. So my name's Amanda Damaris. I work at the Westminster School, but I also have 3 children, one who's already gone through here. I have a junior at this high school, and I have a son at the middle school. My major concern, and I don't know all the details about Mr. Broadley's situation or anything, but my concern is that we have someone who has been a member of the community, who has been there with our children, a man who has seen me on one of my absolute worst days, and honestly, probably could have gotten me escorted out of the school because I was dealing with personal problems involving my children. And instead, he took the time to talk calmly and help me through an extremely difficult situation. And I respect that man for that. And I think it really says something to have somebody that we know working with our children. My concern is that we should be taking the time to correct anything that might be going on. Like I said, I don't know what might have caused this. If he has any shortcomings, I think it would be much better to work with that person who's involved in this community rather than start fresh with somebody who doesn't know our children. I'm also very concerned about the mass amount of people that have left this school district. I've been working in the school district for almost 5 years, and it's insane how much turnover there's been. At this moment, we don't even have a real principal at the middle school. And I've maybe met the person once who's acting as principal. So there's a true concern that if we get rid of Mr. Broadley, how long is it going to be for us to get someone new? And who knows what we're going to be getting when we get someone new? Versus we know someone cares about our kids, cares about our community. Let's work with that rather than having to start all fresh. And you know, if Mr. Broadley sees this, I just want to say thank you for helping support myself and my children. And I would really love to see my child, who does not have a principal right now, have someone who has been in the school. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone online? Yes.
As my children die, sorry. Hi, I'm Julie Torres, and I've been working here for 23 years. I did graduate from here in 1994 as well, and I've worked alongside Mr. Broadley as an educator, and then as having him work as my supervisor with Chris Hodgson. And I would say that, especially after having Chris step down and retire, leave us for good, Mr. Broadley stepped into that role quite nicely. Was it perfect? I mean, nobody's perfect. We all have room for improvement, as I do, you do, everybody does. But he's done a stellar job keeping the students positive and on track and motivated. He's motivating to the faculty, and he bleeds purple like nobody else bleeds purple, and he's not even from Bells Falls, so that says a lot. I would also say that during the pandemic, when Mr. Hudson and Mr. Broadley were both having to take on jobs that were not in their job description, they did it like nothing I've ever seen in my life. Delivering school lunches, wiping down chairs, doing things that at any other time in our life, we would have thought, what's happening? This is unprecedented. But they stepped up and they did everything from cleaning things down to delivering food to, I remember seeing them on the gator delivering water to one of the sporting events. So and that was before COVID. They're just always great. So to lose John at this point would be a tremendous loss for our school and our community. For the continuity, and also just because he does love this town. He takes care of everyone in this town. He takes care of all of our students and all of his staff. He really cares about all of us, and it's genuinely felt. I also wanted to say one more thing, and it left my brain. Yeah, it's because I'm getting so old. One more thing. Yes, that's the most important thing, probably. I did have a personal conversation with Mr. Bradley earlier this afternoon, and he did say online, it was this morning, but anyway, I had a conversation with him, and he said that he was really sad that he would be done at the end of June, and he really did not want to leave. He would rather stay. So if you would rather stay, I would implore you to find a solution that would be in everyone's best interest and allow him to finish doing the good work he does.
We're gonna move to the gentleman online called Adam Stewart.
Hi, this is Dylan Stewart speaking. I would like to speak as a member of the student body and of the BFUHS community. I've known Mr. Broadley since I was in second grade, and now I'm a student at this school. He brings a sense of community and trust to our school, and many students that I've talked to about it feel the same way. When I had to deal with conflict with another student, Mr. Broadley provided me with great advice about how to handle the situation properly. He's been working for the district for so long and has a sense of wisdom that made him very easy to open up to. I really appreciate him as our principal, and I would hate to see him leave. Thank you for your time.
Anybody else? I don't see any hands up there. Anyone else in the hall? Colin, you want a second chance?
I know I spoke already, but
Come on.
Again, with all due respect, why? Why are we here? What are we doing? Guys, think about that. Other than Ms. Lambert that voted to, I can never say the word. So thank you, I can never say the word. Guys, why? What did he do? Why are we not allowed to know? And don't say that you can't say, because I know you know. And as Ms. Torres said, he doesn't want to go, guys. So why are we here? Focus on what you're supposed to be doing. Your job, ladies and gentlemen, is policy and budget. May I remind you, as board members, as a former board member, policy and budget. What are we doing? What did he do? Nobody wants him to go. Hello? We deserve to know. This is a bunch of crap, with all due respect. And Mr. Superintendent, as far as I'm concerned, you're the one that wants him to go. Why? Policy and budget, ladies and gentlemen. Not kicking a principal out that has done nothing. So, I plan on running, so I hope you guys vote for me again, because I plan on running for the board. And Mr. Superintendent, you and I are going to have a lot of conversations. Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone on the screen? We're going to move to unfinished business, which is principal search, which is, we're here to, as a board, Mr. Hawes was going to help us with the steps it takes. And director's comments will be after that. If you folks want to stick around and listen for that, I think it might be good.
So I had sent the board apologize for that. I had sent the board a proposed timeline for a principal search for the principal for Bells Falls Union High School. Timeline that we put out would do an aggressive campaign for advertisement, then doing e-surveys with our community, but also doing some focus groups, accepting applications through the month of February. Then we would do first rounds of interviews in early March with a second round of interviews. We'd then do site visits, and then we'd have a public meeting for the finalists with a recommendation to the board by early April. I've also investigated whether hiring a firm to come in and do a broader search that could round up candidates. I've spoken with a couple of firms. One has said that our district is too small, so they couldn't assist us. Another one has not gotten back with a formal proposal, but essentially a soup to nuts search where they would do the entire search, where they would recruit candidates, do the focus groups. Everything I just outlined there would be about $8,000. And the board could also a la carte from there and choose different pieces. So.
Can you speak up a little? What?
Does the board members have any question for our superintendent for the guidelines that he has given us?
When did you send that in?
That was sent to you over the weekend. I believe Saturday.
In just a moment, please. The board has to speak first. Does anyone have any questions for Andy? Questions? Can't see half the people here. So I would take brief questions, but we're just, we're only here to try to make sure the process is taking the right direction. So if anybody has any real questions, you can come up, but let's just keep it brief, please. Go ahead, Colin, you're first.
I understand the process, even though I disagree with it, but where is the $8,000, Mr. Superintendent, coming from? What, out of what?
We haven't agreed to spend anything. He was just doing his homework on what it would be.
But
we have not paid
if, where would that money come from? What budget line? There's nothing in our budget right now for high school for principal search for a firm. I'm just clarification.
Correct. It's a bottom line budget. We would have to find the money somewhere in the budget.
But we don't have it. We voted on this budget already. So where are you going to get that fund from?
Again, I'm not recommending that. I just wanted to be able to provide the board with as much information as I could prior to.
Understood, but again, you don't have that money.
One of the board members asked if we had ever hired anyone, to look for certain So all he did was his homework and he's just reporting back to us.
No, understood, Molly, with all due
And we're not
respect.
gonna spend $8,000 to try to find
But
somebody.
you don't even have that in a line item, so again, we're.
Colin, I understand, and we did not okay to spend the money.
Okay, thank you.
I can raise my voice too, I'm
No,
just telling you we
absolutely,
didn't.
no, and I'm not being disrespectful, I'm just trying to get clarification, thank you.
All right. Ms. Torres, I think you had your hand up.
Do I have to go up there? Can I stand here?
You better come up.
I'll talk loud. So, I was just gonna ask, because I've been on several, administrative hiring committees, I think 3 now at this point, maybe 4, I don't know, but not when Mr. Hodson was hired, but when everybody else has been hired, I've been on the committee. And I don't remember anything happening except for a committee being formed of the stakeholders. We got together on Zoom or in person, and then held interviews, and then proposed somebody to the board, or to the superintendent, who would then go to the board with that person as who they chose. So I don't understand what the big search is for.
So the board itself asked for some timelines to what it looked like, to what we were doing. As you all are very aware, this is a big hire. And so we wanted to make sure that we knew what we were doing. Julie, I'm just answering your question. So we wanted to, as a board, really have a plan, really know what that meant, what it looked like for us. You're right, there's gonna be a hiring committee, there's gonna be a search committee, there's, all those things are gonna happen. But what I wanted to see was if we had to go through this, make sure we were crossing all our T's and look in all the right places.
May I ask one more question?
Sure.
What was the hiring process when you hired Mr. Haas? I mean, I know he was placed as interim, totally understand that, I think it was necessary. We needed to fix a problem, that was an immediate problem, that needed a Band-Aid. But right now, it's my understanding from the last few months, since September, that all of a sudden Mr. Haas went from interim superintendent to superintendent. Were there interviews? Was anybody else a candidate? Were we just fly by the seat of our pants?
So the truth is, I can't answer that. I wasn't part of the issue board when that all happened, and neither was June, even though she got her hand up. So I can't answer that. I can't give you a good answer. The way to get that answer is to go to your next SU meeting.
When is that?
Wednesday, here at 6:30.
To discuss Mr. Haas's contract.
Correct.
I was just gonna say that the high school board wasn't responsible for hiring Andy. That was the SU board.
But it's
So
part of this
that,
board.
the SU board.
That's
would
correct,
be the one
but we
to
were not
ask-
on that board when
To
that
ask
happened.
that.
Nobody here was on that board?
Mr. Clark and Priscilla by the looks of things, but it's an SU question.
Okay.
Andy Haas is from the SU.
Lastly, it's a statement, not a question, but I just wanted to tell you that your candidate is on,
June, you go turn that mic on.
I can.
You're just gonna touch the middle of it.
Maybe I can.
Just, yeah.
Oh, Mr. Bird. No, it's not on. I think everybody should get it.
I thought it was on the side.
It's on now.
Mr. Hodgson, would you like to speak?
No, he doesn't. I love him, but he doesn't want to.
I was on the spot, I just wanted to see if you wanted me.
No, what I was going to say, and I had a moment of not remembering anything at all, which happens obviously often to me. But I believe the candidate is right here in town on Webb Terrace and waiting for a reinstatement letter or asking him to. There is no need to.
Yes, please come down.
Sorry, you forgot the name. It's
Amanda, I got it, I wrote it down.
So I actually actually just have a question, which might seem foolish, but I don't like to do politics and policies and stuff, so forgive me. What happens if we do not find a replacement principal by the following school year? Like, I'm just concerned because right now, the middle school's still in limbo. So why are we getting rid of people when we actually have people? We so desperately need people. Like, I work in the school, we don't have subs, we don't have enough staff, we have all these openings. Why are we getting rid of people that actually want to be here? And what happens? What happens when we can't find a replacement? Because the jobs, no one wants to work anymore. And so, if we can't get people to wait tables, how are we gonna get a worthy principal in? We have someone who actually wants it.
So I'm sorry to cut you off, but that during public comments is the time to have this. This is about the principal search, if anybody wanted to have any questions or comments.
Like, what is the policy? Like, I have a student here, what happens next September when school starts if we don't have a replacement?
So I don't want to speak out of turn, but I believe the assistant principal would take over until one was found. Is that correct?
Certified.
So we would either look to find an interim principal. We would work with the BPA on placement, perhaps a retired principal or something of that nature.
Somebody who really does a real good job.
Does the board have any other questions for the principal search?
Why aren't the boards named?
Colin, this is it. 30 seconds. What do you got?
30 seconds. The SU board, yes, is separate from this, but yes, it's not, because you have representatives on this board that represent the SU board. So those members, could you please say something?
And two members are right. The two members on the SU.
Are we ready for director's comments? I think we are. You haven't spoke yet. Come on up. Samantha Simons.
For a while. I have a junior in high school now, and I know we're talking about the search for a new principal, which clearly it seems like we don't really need to waste the time and the energy. We should be focusing that energy into figuring out how to keep Mr. Bradley here. So what my question and concern or wondering is, everybody's asking you to reconsider that whole process. How do we know as a community that that's being reconsidered? Is there going to be an additional meeting to discuss that? Maybe before moving forward too long in the process of looking for a new principal, because we could avoid and not waste all that time and energy if we could go the other route and discuss about offering a contract to Mr. Bradley. I believe they're presenting sometime this month. And I'm wondering if there's been discussion about not offering him one versus offering him one. Maybe that's part of the issues. I don't know what the issues are. But I feel like we should be focusing our energies on having the conversations to keep him here before really digging in deep into the search for a principal.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm gonna talk from here and use my playground voice.
Kathy Birdman.
Yes, because I'm gonna crawl up to that microphone. So Priscilla and David are on the supervisory.
I am not on the supervisory union board, Kathy.
You're not.
So they were on it when the superintendent, that's what the question was. They were on it then,
David was not.
David was not on that board when that happened?
He resigned from the board last
So
year.
it's just you said? So.
David and I were on it when Andy
Okay,
was
is
first
there anybody on
hired.
this board that's still?
I was
you
on
are
it
still on
when
it?
he was hired for regular superintendent, but I was on it as a Rockingham representative, not a high school
Are
representative.
you still on it?
I am still on it, yes.
All right, so my question is, after all of the meeting here and all of listening to the people here, is there any chance you could go back to your board and express what was happening here and ask for a reconsideration of that vote? I know you're very strong and vocal with your board and very considerate. Is there any way you could go back and perhaps look at the video and ask your board if they might reconsider looking at their vote, considering how strongly the community feels about keeping Mr. Broadley? Is there any chance that that could happen?
I think that is up to
So,
here to comment.
I would like to go into director's comments because I haven't asked Mr. Broadley, but this was put out on the last meeting, so, I mean, it's public knowledge. Back TV and everyone else was there. So I would like to speak as director's comments. During director's comments, we don't normally take any conversation from the hall, so I don't want to shut anyone off. So if anybody has anything else to say, if not, I'd like to read the letter that, go ahead, Chris.
So recognizing that we're still under the topic of principal search, I would just want to speak very briefly to that. My experience, both here for 25 years and my continued experience in education, tells me that is it possible that through a very thorough search, which I think the superintendent has described, and you very appropriately have asked for a process, is it possible to find someone who is going to do a better job than Mr. Broadley? Absolutely. And having been part of this process for many years, it's totally understandable that if John brought the letter forward that he did, that this might be seen by some board members as an opportunity to improve the school through this process. Is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? Not at all. And so then what we have here is a risk-reward situation. Is the risk of bringing in someone who is not going to improve the performance of the principal position worth it relative to possibly reaching out to John to find out whether there is a possibility of him continuing? Is the risk versus the reward worth taking that chance? As a community member, I think it's not worth that risk. And I would say that I would encourage the board to give due consideration to that as you deliberate over what's the direction for the leadership in this building. I can tell you this much. I tried to give up that job 3 times and then was stuck once. And so that means there is that possibility of coming back to the individual and saying, is there a way of moving forward that gets everybody's needs met? Thank you.
Anyone else? So someone said that John didn't write a letter of resignation, and I don't know how to run Andy's computer, but it does not say. What it says is, I am writing this letter to inform you that I will not be seeking to renew my contract as the Bellas Falls Union High School principal when my contract is up on June 30th, 2023 for personal and professional reasons. Please accept this letter as my formal communication that I will not be seeking to renew my contract effective June 30th. So I spoke up, or I spoke up in my head anyways, and of course it said that, but it didn't. So it was in there. I'm sorry, but I did not overspeak when you were speaking, so please let me have my turn. This is what we have to deal with right now, and you guys have all given us something to think about, and I'm not gonna give my opinion. I think as your board chair, I have to keep it very professional and go back to our board at a later date and be be able to speak to them on people's concerns and on our concerns. And I'm not gonna stand here and give you any reasons. I don't think that's fair to Mr. Broadley. And so I'm not gonna do that. I think that I have a relationship with Mr. Broadley that is very good. I think we've become friends. I've been the school board chair for a while, and you know, we do a lot of things other than sit at school board meetings together. And you know, I'm not gonna tell you that I disagree with any of you that he has the love of Bellas Falls and the school. But I also know that we have a job to do, and I appreciate that everyone has come out, and it does, you know, we're not doing our job if we don't listen to you and think about what we have done. But all I did was read a letter that was given to me, and we had to vote on it, and I had a conversation with Mr. Bradley before, and that's what he told me needed to happen, so that's what I kind of leaded my charge with the board. But that doesn't mean that we can't go back and look at what's really going on. But I'm not gonna stand here or sit here and start talking poorly about anybody. That is not what I'm about, and I hope there isn't a single other board member that is here to do that, because I'll walk away, because that's not the kind of people I want to be around. So I am done, and I thank everyone for coming. And June Streeter, you were next. Do you have any director's comments?
Yeah, I love the outpouring. I love the number of people that are here. I'd like to remind you that our actual meetings are open to the public. You can view them on Zoom. You can watch them on Fact TV. The minutes are public knowledge. So, you know, come to normal meetings and see what we're trying to do and get a little bit more informed. Thank you.
Priscilla, you're next.
It was a pleasure to hear some of your comments and hear all the positives, because all of us know in life that negatives sometimes speak louder than what we want them to. So listening to all of the positive outcry, I am sure that John will maybe even cry when he hears how much you care and how much you have been willing to say here at this meeting. And I appreciate you. And as Molly said, it's discussions that, of course, we as a board have to have. So thank you, and thank you for all being here.
Jason, you're next.
Hope you have to turn it.
Molly, thank you. You know, I'm just focused on, there's 150 days left until June 30th, and I'm focused on the kids, and I'm focused on them only, and I really have no comment while there's an open investigation.
Thank you, Molly. David Clark, in case anybody doesn't know that. I'm the former board chair that talked Christopher Hodgson out of resigning 2 of the 3 times that he resigned. Now, having said that, I do not believe that John Broadley is going to be back in the next school year. I also want to say that I have, in fact, read through the documents that Andy Haas has supplied to his board here with regards to the hiring process. And I didn't think much of them, but that's probably because of the source of those documents, which, thank heavens for Andy, wasn't Andy. And I did put down a few markers with this board and this administration today about what I thought might be some important considerations for a hiring process. First off, I said that I thought that we should be opening it up to people from away. Secondly, I said that if we're going to give lip service to the concepts of diversity and equity, that we might very well consider making that one of the primary considerations in our hiring process, that we have a diverse pool of candidates to consider. Then the other thing that I said was that I happen to believe very strongly that this is not boilerplate Vermont School Boards Association cookie cutter situation here. I think that we need to give serious consideration as to just exactly what it is we're looking for leadership in this school. And, you know, I'm going to agree with a lot of people in this room, beginning with former Principal Hodgson, that it is a risky proposition. And I'm going to agree with people in this room who say that it might not be a done deal before school opens again next fall. These are serious, serious considerations. And if we're going to have a change in leadership, which at this point in time appears to be what's going to happen, then it's not simply handed off to the outside consultants to come up with a principle, but to sit down with the players, and there are, I don't know, there's probably half a dozen here and about 40 in this room. They continually counted you up tonight to see how many people are here. And we need to come together and talk about what it is we really want in leadership. And if you think this board is on a wrong track here, then you can come to our meetings and reinforce that possibility. But I do very strongly believe that if we're going to have a change in leadership, we need to define just exactly what it is we want and then go out and get it. So, Molly, thank you for the time.
So I have 3 board members on the screen. So I'm going to start with Margot for director's comments. How about Tanya? Is Tanya there for director's comments? I can see you, Tanya. How about Brenda? I think I have done my job here tonight. We are down to adjourning this meeting at 6 o'clock. Thank you very much.